He lost everything. His ships, his fortune, his name all swallowed by the unforgiving sea. He was a man drowned in debt, a ghost haunting the docks he once commanded. Yet, the same man would rise from the depths to become the richest soul in a newborn nation. This is the story of America's first millionaire, but it's more than that. It's the story of a hidden code, a blueprint for building an empire from ashes. A code that still drives the billionaires of our age. Different century, same storm. Every great fortune, it seems, begins with fire and with failure. The year is 1784. A young German immigrant, barely a man, steps onto the chaotic shores of America. He has a few coins in his pocket, a handful of flutes to sell, and a dream so large it barely fits into his thick accent. His name is John Jacob Astor. He is a dreamer, an outsider, a nobody. Fast forward 2 centuries. A young Jeff Bezos is driving cross-country to Seattle. His entire life savings packed in the trunk of his car, a business plan sketched out on the passenger seat. 2 men, separated by 200 years of history, yet they are spiritual brothers, driven by the exact same relentless hunger to build something the world simply could not ignore. This is a fundamental truth of wealth. Every empire, whether built of fur or of data, begins as a rumor whispered by the broke and the ambitious. In every era, true vision has no accent. Only courage has currency. Astor, the outsider, looked at the wild American frontier and saw something others missed. While established merchants traded in familiar goods, Astor discovered that furs, soft, simple, portable, were the true gold of the wilderness. He risked what little he had to buy what others dismissed as the trinkets of a savage land. He wasn't just buying pelts. He was buying into a new economy. His early days were brutal. He traveled across frozen rivers, navigated complex relationships with Native American tribes, and survived frostbitten frontiers where a single mistake meant death. His empire didn't spring into existence. It was built one pelt at a time, through sheer force of will. This strategy sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's the same principle that drove Jeff Bezos' first online bookstore. Both men saw the potential for immense scale hidden inside profound simplicity. They understood that you don't need to invent a new product. You just need to reinvent its delivery. Every great fortune hides in plain sight, waiting for a pair of eyes trained by failure to see it. Astor's initial ventures were clumsy. He made bad deals. He trusted the wrong people. He nearly went bankrupt more than once. But each failure was a lesson. Each loss was tuition paid to the harsh school of reality. He was learning, and with every successful deal he finally made, his list of enemies grew. Rivals, pirates, even politicians, they all saw his rise as a threat. Success, in any century, is a declaration of war. Astor quickly learned the first law of empire: control the roots, not just the goods. It's a lesson that echoes through the ages. Why own a few furs when you can own the entire supply chain? He began buying up ports, warehouses, and ships. He was building the infrastructure of fortune. Look at the titans of our own time. Elon Musk doesn't just build cars. He builds gigafactories and rocket launch pads. Bezos didn't just sell books. He built a global network of servers and fulfillment centers. Different tools, same truth. The ones who own the path own the profit. And that path is never crowded, because it's carved directly through chaos. The truly rich don't chase money. They engineer the flow of it. Astor wasn't just a trader anymore. He was becoming a system architect. He established the American Fur Company, a behemoth with ships crossing oceans and warehouses pulsing with wealth. Each entry in his ledger wasn't just a number. It was a declaration that one man's vision could conquer geography. He was creating a machine that generated wealth while he slept. This is the transition every entrepreneur dreams of. From hustling for every dollar to building a system that works for you. From pelts to pixels, the fuel is different, but the fire is the same. Every empire scales through systems, not wishes. Money doesn't flow to passion, it flows to structure. In a way, Astor pioneered automation long before the first line of software was ever written. His automation was born in sweat, not silicon, but the principle was identical: create a repeatable, scalable process. But as Astor's empire grew, so did his isolation. Ambition has a cost, and for Astor, it began to cost him love, friendship, and peace. He was the king of a lonely mountain. The music of his life began to darken, and then, the storm he always knew was coming finally hit. The War of 1812 erupted between the United States and Great Britain. The British Royal Navy blockaded American ports, cutting his sea routes. His fortune, so dependent on maritime trade, began to sink with his fleet. In every century, the market invents a new storm to test its kings. For us, it might be a financial crash, a pandemic, or a disruptive technology. For Astor, it was cannonballs and blockades. He watched 20 years of empire dissolve in a single tide. His ships were captured, his goods were seized. His entire network was paralyzed. He was facing total ruin. He could have cursed the sea. He could have blamed the war, the government, his enemies. Instead, he did something remarkable. He listened. In the silence of his collapsing enterprise, he heard a new opportunity. While his peers were fixated on the war at sea, Astor started looking down at the ground beneath his feet. He began studying land deeds, city maps, property records. He saw a future city rising where others saw only swamp and farmland. When your liquid assets burn, you must look for ground that cannot sink. He realized a profound truth. Crisis is just clarity disguised as chaos. He made a decision that must have seemed like madness to his contemporaries. He began selling off the remnants of his fur empire, what was left of his ships, his warehouses, his inventory to finance a completely new venture. He sold the past to finance the future. Because survival, at the highest level, isn't about holding on tighter, it's about letting go faster. Empires don't truly end. They evolve. Out of the wreckage of his ships, a new vision surfaced. The sea had betrayed him, but the ground, the very land of Manhattan, whispered another promise. Astor began buying New York land, and not the prime lots. He bought cheap, ignored, unwanted parcels. He bought blocks of land that were little more than mud and garbage. Because he could see the future skyline inside the soil, he was playing a different game now. While others chased the fast money of wartime trade, Astor was quietly accumulating terrain. There are two ways to build a fortune. The loud way is to chase trends, to ride the waves of hype. The quiet, lasting way is to accumulate assets while the world looks away. Patience, he discovered, is the only currency that never inflates. He was no longer a trader chasing deals. He was an architect designing a legacy. This shift reveals the final, most powerful part of the code. The algorithm of wealth that Astor perfected is timeless. It applies as much to a crypto investor today as it did to a fur trader 200 years ago. 1. Own the infrastructure. Control the bridge, not just the traffic crossing it. 2. Invest when it hurts. Widespread panic is the richest discount the market ever offers. Buy when there is blood in the streets. 3. Leverage time, not hype. The quiet, relentless power of compounding will always outperform the frantic chase for short-term gains. 4. Convert failure into a framework. Your greatest loss is not a tragedy. It's tuition for your most valuable education. And 5. Build for legacy, not for luxury. Wealth measured in decades and generations will always outlive wealth measured in digits and quarterly reports. This code of fortune is older than any single fortune. It's a pattern of human behavior. When John Jacob Astor died in 1848, his estate was worth an estimated $20 million, a figure that would equate to well over $100 billion in today's money, making him, without question, the richest man in America. But the money wasn't the real legacy. What he truly built was a framework, a repeatable pattern of vision, risk, and radical reinvention. From the fur traders of the 18th century to the factory builders of the 19th, from the software coders of the 20th to the spacefarers of the 21st street, the fundamental pursuit remains the same: to see value where others only see a void, to have the courage to act on that vision, and to have the resilience to get back up when the world inevitably knocks you down. From America's first millionaire to the world's next trillionaire, the code has never changed. Risk, rebuild, and rise. Thanks for watching. If this story of ambition and resilience sparks something in you, subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to uncovering the timeless lessons of history for the builders and dreamers of today. We'll see you in the next one.